Welcome back to Surviving and Thriving, where we share with you the things that we have learned as we have transitioned our family from struggling to survive disease to thriving, right smack dab in the midst of it. In the hopes that something that we share with you will help you, enlighten you, and encourage you as you transition your family from struggling to survive disease to thriving, right smack dab in the midst of it. Last week, I was asked to do a survey at one of the medical appointments that I had. Usually I don't do surveys. Throughout the years, I typically don't do surveys, especially when it comes to healthcare. But this time I thought, what the hey, I'll do a survey. Let's see what you want to know about. And the very last question the gentleman asked me was this. He wanted me to rate how bothered was I. Was I very bothered, slightly bothered, moderately bothered, or extremely bothered by the fact that his words saying being totally dependent upon them and the medical system and medical treatments. And my response to that was, I'm not dependent upon the medical system. I'm not dependent upon you. I'm not dependent upon medical treatments. I told myself, I don't see myself as dependent. I don't understand your question, and therefore I don't know how to answer your question. So I don't know how you want to handle that, because I am not dependent upon you guys. So I don't understand your question. And we went on for a few minutes like that. And he says, you know what? I think you've answered it, right? He says, I don't think it bothers you. I said, no, 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 no. It can't bother me because I'm not dependent upon you. The question is irrelevant, right? I don't understand your question. Is there something else you want to ask me? Because that can't be the question, because this isn't that kind of a situation. And my response shook him up. It shook him up big time, you guys, till he was not himself anymore. After that, trying to talk with him, my husband tried to speak with him, and he didn't know how to respond to it because he was so shaken up by my answer to that question, by my response. I want to talk to you guys about that. Now, I'm in no way trying to tell you how to think, how to be, how to feel. I am completely telling you how I think, how I feel, my experiences, and what I have found that keeps me here today, that keeps me in a state of thriving, not just surviving, that keeps me alive, and doing well in the midst of all that I am going through. First and foremost, it is important for you all to know that my trust and my dependency is in Jesus Christ. In Christ and Christ alone. Okay? Now, I utilize doctors. I utilize herbs. I utilize good foods and exercise. I utilize therapies of different kinds, traditional medicine and non-traditional medicine alike. And with that, people are utilized as well. Now, even though people are utilized, things are utilized, surgeries have been utilized, medications have been utilized, I am in no way dependent upon any of those things. Those things were an avenue and a tool. Those people, right, were an avenue and a tool that God used to give me what I needed. My sustaining power and my lifeline and my source is God and God alone. Now, who he uses and what he uses and how he uses them, that's up to him. And I'm okay with that. But never do I look at, right, what he used as my source. I see clearly in that. I know who is my source at all times. Now, throughout all these years, and I've been going through some things, you guys, for a good number of years. I never put a timeline and let you know how long I've been going through something, because it doesn't matter whether I've been going through a year, 2 years, 10 years, or 15 years. It doesn't matter. What I'm going through, what you're going through, is what we are going through. And I would never want you to put a timeline for your hope based upon what's going on in my life. Every situation is different. My goal and purpose here is to share with you, to help you, right, as you go along, because all of us cry out for some insight and someone to be able to understand and to show us how to navigate through this thing. And I feel like if I divulge my life and expose myself, there's something in there that you can grasp, that might help you to make it through, y'all, my life is worth living. I fulfilled a purpose, one of the purposes in my life. If it helps you to make it over, I want to help you because I desire that same help for myself. So that's why I share all of this stuff with you now. Understanding this, right? I hire doctors. I've hired surgeons. I've hired many type of therapies, traditional, non-traditional alike. I've hired non-medicinal things. I've done a lot of things, and I continue to do a lot of things. I never put my hope and my trust in anything or anyone that I can hire and that I can fire. Now, throughout all these years, I've heard them tell others, and they have tried to tell me repeatedly, and not these specific people, but in all the years, the people that I've dealt with, the systems that I've had to deal with, the therapies that I've had to deal with, I have heard this repeatedly. You know, you need to do what we tell you to do. You need to listen to us, right? And you need to do these things because this is your lifeline. No, it is not my lifeline. It may be a tool that is being utilized to help me, but it did not give me life. You and it did not give me life. You nor it is sustaining my life. You nor it can take my life. Only God does that. Now, that knowing for me keeps things in perspective. It also helps me to keep everybody and everything in its place. Okay? Sometimes when dealing with certain people, they have a problem with being placed in their place and kept in their place because they want to elevate themselves to a position that they don't rightfully suit. Okay? I have found in life, in reading history and hearing stories from others and my own experiences in my life, that when people try to place themselves in a position of God and try to put you in the position of being dependent upon them, to give you the mindset that you're nothing without them, that you need them, and that you need to lay it all down and just blindly, willfully just do. Those are people who are trying to put me, you, or anyone else in history, in my perspective. Those are people who are trying to place people in a position of servitude, right? To put them below, to place them into a slave mentality. Anyone who wants to place you in a slave mentality is trying to bind you, to try to lead you, and it's usually for their own benefit, not for yours. I refuse to be captivated. Now, a person can be enslaved but free. Okay? And there are people who are free, yet they are enslaved. Okay? Anybody who's trying to enslave you physically or mentally, you need to get those people out your life. Okay? And I don't bow down to that. Period. I am enslaved to no one. No one gave me life but God. Okay? No one sustains my life and brought me out many times without the help of doctors, without the help of medicine. When both doctors and medicine said that this is it, there is no end, multiple times, y'all, only God brought me through. And so because of that, my perspective is straight. I see clearly, okay? And my face is set like flint, and I don't get it confused with anything else. I would never want you to feel like, okay, you are dependent upon anybody, because when you're dependent upon anybody or anything, that anybody or anything has now become your God, and they can lead you to a place that you don't want to go. Never walk into anything in this life, right, without knowing where you're going and letting that be your decision. Now, I'm a person that lives by faith, so sometimes by faith I gotta go not knowing where the Lord is going to lead me, but my face is set on him, and I choose willingly to go. And I know that where he leads me is leading me to life. You guys, man is fickle. I'm fickle, right? You catch me on the wrong day at the wrong time in the wrong mood, I might not want to say something or do something that's in your best interest, okay? And that's just people in general. So I can't put my life in the hands of no man, right, who is fickle, who is not guided by the same principles as I am. Now, you do what's best for you, but I'm telling you what I've learned, and hopefully something in that might be able to help you. You remember that in all things, you do you, okay? Do what's best for you and your family. Do what your conscience can live with at night. I'll see you next week. Bye.